The topic everyone has been speaking on, Alethia ex persona. I will try to speak on this through a little different perspective. Today, while I was waiting in the parlor, I was dumb scrolling. I dumb scroll too, like any of you guys. I was dumb scrolling my social media, LinkedIn, and I came across one story which I want to share with you. You know, LinkedIn shared one of those marquee stories where they come up with those animated pictures and stuff like that. And it's kind of creepy how social media throws things at you, what you are searching on, right? But sometimes it can be helpful. So this story that LinkedIn shared with me on my feed was the story of the fox, the lion, and the donkey. Now it's a story that all of us have come across, have heard about it, but we are not so much able to remember it all the time. The story goes that the donkey was tricked by the fox to come and meet the lion, promising him the crown. The donkey, being the donkey, took the bait, came over, and was about to become the meal, but he somehow managed to escape without his ears. So the fox went back and convinced him that it is so because it will help him wear the crown. So the donkey came back a second time with the same results. He managed to escape without his tail. So now the fox convinced him, oh, it's easier for you to sit on the throne without the tail. Gadhe to gadhe hote. The donkey came back a third time, and this time he was not lucky. So the moral of the story goes on to say that everybody who comes to you wearing the mask of a friend is not your friend. And we have that experience in our lives. Many people around us, many foxes around us wear the marks of a friend, of a colleague, sometimes sadly family, sometimes partners, both in life and in business. You go to the Indian codes, family codes, before marriage, I cannot live without you. After marriage, I cannot live with you. This is the reality. So with that note, I'll start. Is this working? It's not working, guys. Okay, all right. So during my years of training in the seminary, I came across a very interesting section of the Mahabharata, which is the world's largest epic, as all of you know. I don't need to tell you what is Mahabharata or who is Yudhishthira, the chief protagonist of Mahabharata, for whose throne the whole Kurukshetra war happened, the eldest of the Pandavas. He was sitting in a hot seat answering questions for an extraterrestrial being known as a Yaksha. So the Yaksha was asking him different questions, and he would have to answer them correctly. If he fails to answer them, he doesn't live. So he was not playing who's going to become a millionaire for a prize money. He was answering questions to save his life. So one of the most interesting questions that was asked is, what is the most amazing, interesting, bewildering thing in this world? In Sanskrit, the word is Kim Ashcharya, the most bewildering thing in this world. And you know what Yudhishthira said? Yudhishthira said that the most bewildering thing in this world is we see all around us people dying, animals dying, plants dying, living things die every day all around us. But we believe that those who are living, we will live forever. We never prepare ourselves for that one reality that will definitely come into our lives. So we do not prepare for death. Shakespeare had written a poem, All the World's a Stage. Absolutely, sir. So men and women are players who'll have to exit after their roles are over. What is interesting is, in the play of life, these actors do not prepare themselves for the supper that they need to put on their table after their performance is over. They think that their performance will go on for eternity. So much of philosophy. Now let's understand this from a more lighter perspective. So meet my friend Tomatino ipsum. It's a tomato born in the valleys of Naples, and a tomato can have any future. It can land up in a makni gravy in Punjab, in a tomato chutney in Chennai, or it can land up in a royal kitchen on pasta. So best case scenario is a good quality tomato completes its harvesting season and becomes a bachelor's in pasta. So it's been chosen for pasta. Now it's better segregated as a tomato that will now get sun-dried because it's a better quality. So it has a master's in aglio olio pasta with a specialization in sun-dried tomatoes. Furthermore, these sun-dried tomatoes, some will go into the local markets and some will get branded. So it has further qualification of being on a Sicilian pasta. It's a branded sun-dried tomato. Furthermore, it lands up, these branded tomatoes, lands up in the royal kitchens of Europe. And that's how it gets the post-nominal Fellow of the Royal Society of Tomatoes. From the royal kitchens, it lands up into the specific kitchen for the Prince of Wales. It gets another nomenclature. The Prince of Wales decides to throw a banquet for the Duke of Luxembourg, and this tomato is chosen for that banquet, and it gets another post-nominal. Our lives, dear friends, is something like this tomato. We are all going to end up in life's frying pan. But what is important is how we die, how we lie to rest. Because this particular tomato finally rises to a glorious rest on the banquet of the Duke of Luxembourg. Very similarly, put yourself in this tomato's place. When you were a child, if anybody asked you who you are, you would pretty much tell your name, your age, and your school. That's it. As you grow, you come up with coverings, right? You come up with nouns and pronouns behind your name. Somebody becomes engineer, somebody becomes doctor, somebody's chartered accountants. This, that. RJs have RJ before their name. So, we come up with a lot of coverings in our life. And sadly, in the modern era, a lot of people end up, towards the fag end of their life, fighting lifestyle diseases. Somebody is fighting kidney disease, somebody diabetes, somebody heart, etc., etc. And that's when people realize that I've been running behind all stupid things. I've not lived my life. Do you agree with me, Xaviers's? So, it is very important that we learn to live our lives. And how do we live our lives? by not forgetting who we really are. What is the essence that we bring on the table? The tomato would have landed on the royal kitchens because of its intrinsic quality of adding good flavor. That is what it brings to the table, right? If it did not bring good flavor, it would not have landed in the royal kitchens. It would have been trampled somewhere in the markets outside. Similarly, we need to understand what is the flavor that we add, what is the intrinsic value that we add. To explain this, I'm going to talk about something very, very different and very, very Bengali. What you see over here, how many of you have seen this? You know what it is? Show of hands quickly. Okay, I don't see a lot of hands. This is known as a Pattachitra. For centuries, artists in Bengal have been painting this kind of art using vegetable dyes on canvases made of cotton. These Pattachitras have traditionally been used as teaching aids, right? Nowadays we use PowerPoint presentations as teaching aids. Back in those days, these were used as teaching aids. Back in those days, there would be songs, ballads, and poems associated with these paintings. And traveling minstrels, poets would go from village to village with these paintings, performing those songs, performing those musical renditions, along with these presentations, these colorful presentations. Through that, they would be imparting knowledge, they would be imparting values, they would be inciting social revolutions also through this format of art, this format of cultural renditions. However, the community that does this painting is currently a Muslim community a few kilometers south of Calcutta. If you go to that village, that whole village of Chitrakars, their surname is Chitrakars. Those artists, they are practicing Islam. But if you go to that village, all of them are singing glories of Radha Krishna, because this is what their painting and their art form is. A wonderful example of religious harmony. This community, over ages, have been facing political persecution, religious persecution, economic depravity. With the advent of technology, nobody needs Pattachitra as a teaching aid. Right? But this community has now started surviving, and slowly they are thriving. And how are they thriving? Because they have realized the intrinsic value that these Pattachitras used to render. They used to bring color in the lives of the people, the general populace. So currently, they have reinvented themselves, and now they bring color in all our homes through merchandises. So the intrinsic value of bringing color in your life, in general populace's life, still holds good, and that is how they have survived, by recognizing their intrinsic value. So, my 2 cents to all of you is, do what you want to do. Find your intrinsic value. Cut yourself off from the regular system if you want to. Go out on a 6-month sabbatical. Go on trekking. Or get more into studies, deeper into studies if you want to do so. Whatever makes you happy, do it, but find that intrinsic value that you think you can add to society. That is the only way you shall survive in the long run. So now I end with the last slide, quoting an American poet of color. This poem was written a few centuries, about late 1800s, by an American black poet when black was not beautiful. So now I quote him here. He says, "We wear the mask that grins and lies. It hides our cheeks and shades our eyes. Why should the world be overwise in counting all our tears and shies? Nay, let them only see us while we wear the mask, honest in our service, adding colors to our life." So thank you, St. Xavier's Calcutta, for being such a wonderful audience.